We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. I'll tell you what.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
That's true. Betterwater.com. But I was gonna say something else. Sam's producing. He's eager over there on the hotkeys. Your hotkey trigger finger itching.
I don't get to do it for Dan.
Yeah.
I scared him.
Dan,
he walked back in here.
When you play the hotkeys for Dan, he tends to get a little disgruntled. And he goes, what was that? What was that? And he's back here. He's doing his best to bite his tongue because he's like, he doesn't want to get stuck in another conversation while he's leaving for the long weekend.
Did you see what happened when I played the shenanigans key?
Yes. What was that?
That was his reaction.
So anyway, I had no idea that this was going to be a long weekend. I had no idea. It's like the nicest little surprise that I've ever gotten. I'm like, oh, we're off on Monday? Oh, okay. All right, bet. Sign me up. And after the week of news that we've had, I'm sure that we could all use a 3-day break. I mean, the news has been depressing at best, infuriating at worst. Maybe it's the other way around for you. Infuriating at best, depressing at worst. I guess it depends on tomato. Whatever you see. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? It's up to you. One of the things that really made me irate with the coverage of the Minneapolis shooting was the lack of empathy from leftist media for the victims and for individuals offering prayer and encouragement to the families and the victims. We saw so many Democrats say, stop the praying. Praying's not enough. And I made the comment yesterday. It's like, I think actually prayer works. Prayer works, believe it or not. And I'm a huge believer in that. I am, and nothing's going to change my mind about it. But the leftists, they don't like it. And Jen Psaki was one of the first ones to throw a tweet up 10:47 a.m. on the morning of the shooting. The blood has not dried at the church. The victims are still in critical care. We don't know what the death toll is going to be at 10:47 a.m., the morning of the shooting. We just don't. But Jen Psaki doesn't wait to circle back to this tweet. She decides to launch it into the ether and says, prayer is not freaking enough. Prayer does not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids back to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. I can't with these people. I can't. It actually infuriates me. And believe it or not, prayer actually does make me feel safe sending my kids to school. And I pray so often that my kids are wrapped in the armor of God when they go out there into the world. And it's not just against school shooters. Sometimes it's against woke ideology. I hope that stuff bounces off of them and doesn't ever take root. And this is what I pray. I pray it, but when they go to sleep, we end the day with prayer. We wake up, we start the day with prayer, and every day I pray that the armor of God is around these kids. And it does. It helps me. It helps me. And I have a strong faith, and it gets me through a lot. A couple of weeks back on the podcast, it's of course how this always happens. We were talking about, school kicking off, first week of school, me and Dan, and he said we were talking about what makes you nervous. And for me, I'll be honest, the things that make me nervous isn't an active shooter situation. I mean, the chances of those are so statistically small. What makes me nervous is, the internet. That makes me far more nervous than a school shooter. But one of the reasons that I don't walk around in fear is because, well, the power of prayer and working with my kids, talking with my kids about the dangers out there in the world, the dangers online, and yada, yada, yada. I feel secure. So when Dan said, do the school shootings make you nervous? I said, not necessarily. They don't. And listen, even today in the light of this tragedy, I'm not going to be fearful sending my kids to school. And one of the reasons is God. It's just going to be God. Jen Psaki doesn't think that my prayers mean anything. Jen Psaki doesn't think that your prayers mean anything. It's not just Jen Psaki. Sure, we're highlighting her for the sake of the argument at the moment, but there was many more Democrats who echoed these same kind of statements. Flash forward, we have a White House that does believe in the power of prayer. We have a president who honestly felt the hand of God on the back of his head on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, and it's changed the direction of this White House dramatically, where in the first term with President Trump, I knew that God was working, but he was working more behind the scenes. I feel like God is more on the front lines now than ever before, and this White House is a huge example of that. Yesterday during the press briefing, Caroline Leavitt took aim at Jen Psaki and her comments, calling them disgraceful.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you. Sure. Democrats, including former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country.
Amen.
And it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves who need it right now more than ever.
Amen. I would encourage you to rethink everything you have thought and said, Jen Psaki. What an awful person to go on the internet and just spout that garbage. Caroline Leavitt is just an unbelievable upgrade. It's amazing when Jen Psaki just says something so stupid and has no idea. No idea.
My second question for you is that there have been media outlets who have glazed over the fact that the shooter was confused in their gender identity. Does the administration believe that this element needs to be investigated in the shooting?
All of the elements are being investigated in the shooting, absolutely.
Yeah, this White House is looking into everything. The media doesn't want to, and in the aftermath of the shooting, the media did everything they could to not let you know that the shooter was trans. I made the comment on my show as it was happening in real time, and I said the longer that it goes without them telling us who the shooter is, the more we can really assume that the shooter is going to be either an Islamic terrorist or a trans shooter, and, it was the latter. It was the latter. But to deride the power of prayer, I think, is just disgusting. DNI Tulsi Gabbard laid into Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Jen Psaki for trashing Christians who were praying after the shooting, saying those like Jen Psaki and Jacob Frey who criticized prayer in the wake of the Minneapolis tragedy are expressing the same anti-God sentiment that motivated the shooter. Nailed it. Nailed it. He aimed his wrath at God by trying to stop people with his bullets from praying to God. Now is a time for us to come together and join hands in prayer for the children who were killed, their loved ones who survived, and this horrific shooting. DNI Gabbard is absolutely right. This is a time for more prayer, not less. And the Democrats, part of me wonders if they understand the power of prayer, and that's why they're so adamantly against it. And I think that you could make the argument for that. I think you could. I'm not gonna make that argument today, but I think if you wanted to, I think it'd be actually pretty easy. J.D. Vance yesterday, he was in, I believe this is in Wisconsin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody on the super text line, I believe it was Wisconsin, one of those states up there. And he's talking to a bunch of people. But at this speech that he's given, he goes the exact opposite route of what the Democrats did. They spent all day saying, don't pray. Praying is a lie. Praying is trash. And J.D. Vance yesterday said, actually, I'm going to go just the completely different way. Can everybody in here pray?
When I first heard the news, I was worried that the death toll was going to be higher based on what the media reports were saying. And right now, there are still a couple of kids, some of whom in very critical condition, who may yet survive this. And I think they would appreciate your prayers, and their families would appreciate your prayers as well. So if you are the praying type, I'd ask you to say a prayer tonight for those kids that are still recovering, that they may recover fully and go on to live a full life, the life that was deprived from a couple of their classmates. And, the stories, I'd encourage you to read some of the stories about what happened yesterday, about the violence, about the fact that you had 10-year-old kids laying over their friends to look after them and to try to protect them.
That's J.D. Vance. And again, he's doing the exact opposite, and he's pushing back. And he says he was given another interview later in the day with Will Cain, and he said, if you're a media member, if you're a commentator, and two beautiful babies have been gunned down, and you're suggesting that people don't pray, then something's wrong inside your soul. This is J.D. Vance yesterday on the Will Cain Show.
Will, if you are a politician or you're a media commentator and two beautiful babies just got murdered while praying, and your politics force you to condemn prayer in response to it, you ought to get new politics, because something very wrong has gone on inside your soul.
Amen. Amen. J.D. Vance, again, at that speech, he led the entire room in prayer. Show me a Democrat that can do this.
But eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
Amen. Amen. While J.D. Vance is dealing in reality and living out his faith on the main stage, you have so many other leaders just dealing in the absurd. I think that's the only way you can put it. It's the absurd. Yesterday there was another press briefing, and we had the chief of police in Minneapolis using the pronouns of the shooter, saying "their," change their name, they thems. They were doing all that. They were doing all that. You had former D.C. Chief of Homeland Security Donnell Harvin calling the murders, saying that the murders being a hate crime against Christians is a far-right narrative. Again, while we're looking at this with clear eyes and trying to find realistic solutions, the Democrats and the left are living in the land of the absurd. This is Donnell Harvin, this is a former D.C. Chief of Homeland Security on CNN yesterday.
Well, this gets a little nuanced, and I teach a class on this in Georgetown. This individual appears to be what we call a nihilist. And not to get into too much detail about their ideology, they believe that no lives matter. I believe that calling this or investigating this as an attack against Catholics, I believe, is a little disingenuous, and it plays into the far right's narrative about Christians being under attack in this.
It's a far right narrative that Christians are under attack? It's a stone cold fact. Most persecuted religion on the entire planet, Christians. And he says, this individual is a nihilist. I'm not going to go into it. It's a little bit above you smooth brains comprehension skills. You see, I teach at Georgetown. Well, a nihilist is someone who believes that life has no intrinsic value, no meaning, no purpose. Spoiler alert, That's what happens when you have God missing in your life. What are you doing? Oh, how could he have become a nihilist? As all of these Democrats and leftists say, stop the praying. Stop the praying. It does nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's fake. You're talking to a sky person. No. The attitude that we're seeing from the left leads directly to the ideology that we see the shooter displaying. Weird how that works out. And if this professor from Georgetown, this former chief of Homeland Security, explained that to you, well, the viewers on CNN would understand that as well. See, when you remove God, you're going to have to replace it with something. Just how it works, it's a vacuum. You're not going to go throughout life without putting something else in that place. And that's where we find ourselves today. There's two competing ideologies. There's one that say we have a higher power, and then there's one that says the government's your higher power. That's what we're up against. But none of the Democrats want to call the problem what it is. It's a mental health issue. This person was psychotic, 100%. You could make the case for spiritual warfare. I'm not going to do that here today, but I know it would be easy to do so. I mean, you saw the pages in the Journal just like I did. The drawing where he's looking in the mirror and a demon is staring back at him. Again, you remove God, something's going to fill that void. Something will. What that is, well, I mean, it's up to that individual, but something's going to fill that void. J.D. Vance had no problem calling it what it was, a mental health issue. It's not about the gun. It's about the individual behind the trigger. I'll bring you those comments from J.D. Vance on the way. It's 9:22. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
A big change for people buying products from overseas, we'll explain. And the Secret Service reduces their workload. We'll explain that as well. That's coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can watch the show on YouTube and Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe. It's like putting new shoes on my kids' feet when you do that. And I got a lot of kids, a lot of feet that need shoes, so please hit like, hit subscribe. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio. Tune in the FM dial. We got a lot to get to today. Chris in Lebanon wants to talk about the power of prayer and Jen Psaki. What's up, Chris? How we doing, man?
Oh, pretty good, brother. Thank you so much for taking the call. I love this station. I always listen.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
First off, Jen Psaki is a liar. She's a terrible liar, and she lied for at least 4 years. Well, close to it.
Well, no, she was a liar for 2 years, and then she was replaced by the best black lesbian press secretary we've ever had in this country.
Yeah, exactly. Who was also a liar and had, I mean, good Lord, did she have like a third grade education or what?
Honestly.
The biggest problem I have is, first off, like, these people are sick.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a Second Amendment gun owner. Like, I love my gun.
Yep.
You talk about the Glock store, it's a great thing. Like,
Amen.
I love my Glock.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There's no single part of me, no fiber in my entire being that wants to go shoot kids at a school.
Yeah, honestly.
Anybody at a mall, at a concert, at anything. I mean, come on.
Yep.
This is like, there is something wrong with your soul. And like you said, like, as soon as they kicked God out of all that, there was your first problem.
Yep. You nailed it.
I mean, you know, and that goes back to the problem of, okay, there was God created man and God created woman. That's it.
I know.
Like, if you were born a man, dude, you're a man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, just get real with it. Like, animals know this.
It's true.
Why don't we?
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris, and I appreciate the call, man. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. J.D. Vance understands how ridiculous this conversation is and understands where the conversation needs to be. It needs to be on mental health. And J.D. made those comments yesterday, which I'm going to bring to you after the newscast. But as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about the Democrats deriding the power of prayer, I just had this thought pop into my mind while I'm talking to Chris here on the line, Chris from Lebanon. When are the Democrats going to go tell a Muslim who prays 8 times a day that praying is a lie? They're going to do that? Oh, wait. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a weather forecast for the Labor Day holiday coming up. A tax loophole called the de minimis exemption that had been in place for decades for imported goods is now being closed by the Trump administration, and it could lead to packages from other countries to be more expensive, delayed, or just canceled altogether. We hear now from ABC's Selena Wang.
We're talking about all those cheap goods that we buy online. Well, they could get a whole lot more expensive. The Trump administration just closed a loophole that allowed goods $800 and under to enter the U.S. tax-free. But as of this morning, those goods will face 10 to 50% tariffs depending on the country they came from, or a flat fee of $80 to $200 per package.
A senior White House official has confirmed to ABC News that President Trump revoked Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris via letter sent yesterday to the Department of Homeland Security. The official highlights that vice presidents typically only have a detail for 6 months. ABC News correspondent Karen Travers reports.
President Trump on Thursday revoked Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris starting in September. That's according to a copy of a memo sent to the Secretary of Homeland Security, reviewed by ABC News, that authorizes DHS to discontinue security-related procedures for Harris. Former President Biden extended Harris's protective detail an additional year on top of the 6 months she's required by law to have a Secret Service detail as the former vice president. That's according to multiple officials. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and it's your last chance to take advantage of the August deals. Back-to-school savings are going away at the end of August, so don't wait. Get yourself some big savings from Busy Bee today, like 15% off any septic work, main drain lines, or whole home repipes. Upgrade your HVAC system and be automatically entered to win the Healthy Hive giveaway. That's $1,500 to the local school of your choice. That is not chump change. That's going to make a big difference in your kid's school. How about a gift sweeter than a red apple for a teacher, coach, faculty member at your child's school? You buy one Beehive Club membership for yourself. You get to gift one to that teacher, coach, or faculty member for free. Plus, you can breathe easier with $100 off indoor air quality products. That's only from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. These deals last until the end of August, so call today and take advantage of them right now. 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, or find them online, busybeehvac.com. It's 9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got Monica Page joining us from the North Lawn of the White House momentarily here, 10:05. She joins us every week. We're finally getting into an every week thing with her. When we started this, we were like, hey, Monica, would you like to join us every week? And she's like, absolutely. And then it was like, next week I'm getting married. And then the week after that, I'm on my honeymoon. And then the week after that, there was like a holiday. So it was like every week, once every 4 weeks. But we're getting into like a more consistent thing with her now. She's awesome. And she breaks down what's happening at the White House in a way that only she can. She's an insider in the room, and we love that. So Monica's going to be joining the show at 10:05. She's awesome. I saw somebody on the YouTube chat last week. I don't even know if to say this, but I did. I sent it to Monica. I took a picture. He said that Monica Page, I could watch her report why the sky is blue. It's like, that's terrible. That's awful. Monica's going to be joining us at 10:05. You want to watch on the YouTube stream. It's always a cool sight because she's got the White House right behind her with those big, beautiful flagpoles that the president installed on his own dime. What a tyrant. Dictator. Can you believe that he does stuff like that?
Oh, and he's remodeling the ballroom all out of his own.
What a fascist.
Oh, my God. It's terrible to have a beautiful ballroom with gold accents. Oh, God.
He's ruining our democracy by not using taxpayer dollars or something, I'm sure.
Well, the Fed has $1 billion renovation.
It's like, isn't that like $3 billion now?
Jerome doesn't know. He's too late.
Under budget, behind schedule. Classic. This is the problem with government. This is the problem. This is one of the things that the Trump administration is trying to fix. Cutting through the BS, the bovine scatology, if you will, RIP Uncle Phil. But this is what J.D. Vance did yesterday when it came to the Minneapolis tragedy that we are watching unfolding in real time. And there's a lot of reactions still coming out, left and right. J.D. Vance called it for what it was. It's a mental health crisis. There's no other way that you can that you can sell this thing. It's insane to blame the gun. It's insane. Nobody blamed the truck when the terrorists plowed through a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, right? Like, nope. We're like, ban trucks, ban them. I can't. No more assault trucks in our streets. These are vehicles of war. Nobody did it.
Did you see where they might be wanting to ban certain knives in the UK, though?
Yeah, dude, it's nuts. It's nuts. And then, like, oh, let's ban everything we can to protect ourselves. And then surely the bad guys will turn their guns in, too. I'm sure. And in the UK, I mean, I've done this a lot, but the story just infuriates me. 14-year-old girl being chased down by migrants, filming her on their phone. And you know what happens with the migrants in the UK. They tend to rape. Then they tend to get away with it. And then they tend to have it swept under the rug by the British government. So little girls who aren't being protected by the adults in these areas are carrying around knives and axes to protect themselves. Yeah, let's get rid of the guns. Everything will turn out fine. J.D. Vance says, no, let's look into the root cause of this, the mental health.
If you look, we really do have, I think, a mental health crisis in the United States of America. We take way more psychiatric medication than any other nation on earth, and I think it's time for us to start asking some very hard questions about the root causes of this violence. And I'm going to be part of that, and the First Lady and the President are going to be part of that, but that's going to be an American conversation that we're going to have together. But before we have that conversation, if you are the praying type, I would ask you to join me in prayer. I'm just going to say a prayer.
So this is the conversation that we need to have. The conversation needs to be a national one, and it needs to be on mental health, and needs to be on the psychotropic drugs. And the Trump administration, they're not beating around the bush. RFK Jr. yesterday, he was given a press conference with Governor Abbott. And the press conference with Governor Abbott was actually pretty cool. They're essentially going to make nutritional education in schools mandatory in Texas. That's the gist of the story. I don't have it in front of me, but that's why they were sitting together. That's why they were doing this. And like every member of the Trump administration, they're not afraid of the press like the Biden administration was. They'll answer any question. And of course, the news of the day really was engulfed by what happened in Minneapolis. So when you have the HHS secretary in front of you, you're going to ask him about the drugs. One reporter did, and he said that they're going to examine everything. RFK Jr. yesterday.
I certainly consider mass shootings a health crisis, and we are doing for the first time real studies to find out what the etiology of that is. And we're looking for the first time at psychiatric drugs. You know, these kind of mass shooting, people have had guns in this country forever.
Amen. I mean, you were talking earlier, the shooting clubs. I heard you on my ride in with Nashville's Morning News. The shooting clubs and all the different things that happened here in rural Tennessee, and nobody worried about it.
Or back in the day, how the good old boys would have a shotgun rack on the back of their truck, and my God, no one got shot.
I mean, I grew up in Massachusetts, so it was a little bit more leftist, to put it lightly. But my wife grew up in Fluvanna County in Virginia, which is a rural county outside of Charlottesville. And this is, you know, the 90s, and it's like they had guns on their gun racks in the 90s, and it was no big deal. It's not the gun. Never was.
When I was a kid, we had shooting clubs at our school. People, kids, my classmates, other people, would bring a .22 rifle with their guns to school and park it in the parking lot. Nobody was shooting, so there's never been a time in America, in the history of humanity, and people walked into a crowd, into a church or a movie theater or a school or a crowd of strangers and just started randomly shooting. It's happening in our country. It's not happening around the world. And there are many other countries that have comparable levels of guns that we have in this country. We had comparable levels in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and people weren't doing that. Something changed, and it dramatically changed human behavior. And one of the culprits we need to examine is whether the fact that we are the most over-medicated nation in the world.
Bingo.
And that a lot of those are psychiatric drugs that have black box warnings on them that warn of suicidal and homicidal ideation. So we are doing those studies right now for the first time.
And thank God he's doing them. I made the comment yesterday. This is before I heard the comments from RFK Jr. But it's like, yeah, the fact that you can give somebody a drug for depression and side effects may include depression. It's like, wow.
Or homicidal rage.
Yeah, like what? What are we doing? If the side effects are worse than the drug, should you be taking it? You know, and you see it on all the commercials. And it's like, it doesn't even matter what the drug is. It's just the side effects that they read out are always insane. It's like, here's a medication for blood pressure. Side effects may include anal leakage. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I hope no one's having their breakfast oatmeal this morning.
But you know what I'm saying? Everybody reads there. And then like in the ad, people are dancing. Woo. It's like, I don't know if you should be dancing with some of those side effects. Probably be sitting on a towel or something. Like, what are you doing? But this is what they do. We got to get rid of the ads on TV. I think that's one of the things that really has to happen, especially with these young kids. I mean, listen, you're growing up. You're going to be in a funk. And I think that, like, young kids need to understand that. Like, your hormones are going crazy as it is at that age. I have an 11-year-old dog. Do you understand what I'm dealing with? You want to talk about that's just depression. That's tough.
Instantly on my prayer list.
Like, oh, my gosh. The hormones are already going insane in these kids. Like, your kids are going to get into a funk. Kids are going to go through phases. And this trans ideology, instead of affirming it and leaning into the mental illness, we need to say chill. And you know what else you should do? If here's just a pro tip: if your kid comes home and says that they think that they're another gender, remove every piece of technology that has access to the internet from your home, all of it, and give it 2 months. Thank me later. Seriously, because that ideology is being affirmed online. That ideology was found online. And these kids are getting love bombed by lunatics. Now, I don't know if you know what love bombing is, but like everything's grooming. It all happens so slowly. It's like drip, drip, waterfall. And these kids, they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable in my own body. Posted on a message board. What 14, 15, 13-year-old does? Seriously. But they'll say, I don't feel comfortable in my own body. And somebody will say, well, maybe Maybe you were born in the wrong body. Have you ever tried cutting your hair short like a boy? And they'll go, no, oh, geez, that might be it. Maybe I'll try that. And they cut their hair short. And then they'll get a bunch of posts like, wow, you look great. You look awesome. You look so good. You look so good. Maybe you are trans. And on it goes. If your kid comes home and they have any kind of signs of that, remove the internet. Like step one. Step one, remove the internet. Step two is wait, pray, talk. Like that's step two. Step three, if it persists, find somebody to talk to that's a professional that you trust. I mean, like, as much as we could rail against the psychiatrists and the therapists out there are good people in those industries. Like let's not beat around the bush and demonize and paint with a broad brush the way the left wants to do with so many gun owners, right? There are good people in those industries. You can find them if you look, but you got to be careful. And be careful with the drugs that they're trying to throw on these kids who are already dealing with a hormonal roller coaster because of growing up. And don't pump them full of something that's going to make them go off the deep end. It's just common sense. It should be. It should be. But they won't. They'll blame the guns. They'll call you a transphobe and a bigot for not affirming this identity and all sorts of names. Don't be guilted into going along with the woke mob. Mark in Nashville, you're next on Super Talk. What do you got, Mark?
Hey, I was calling about the guns.
Talk to me, brother.
The people that leave their guns in their car at night, they do not have enough sense to take the gun in. That means they don't have enough sense to have a gun. If they get their guns stolen out of their car, they need to go to court and prove to the judge that they are stable enough to have a gun, because 2,100 people had their guns stolen out of their car in their house. That's 2,100 people that the Democrats ought to take their guns away from them people.
Listen, I hear where you're coming from, and I tend to agree, but I don't necessarily think that the conversation right now is dumb people leaving guns in their cars. You know, even in the case of Minneapolis, those guns were purchased legally, and I think that anytime, if a leftist wants to talk about banning guns, let's say, okay, let's start with banning them for trans people and see what their answer is and go from there. But there's a conversation to be had about people that leave their guns in unlocked cars. Absolutely. I don't think that's part of the conversation today.
To Mark's point, I was pointing out to Dan earlier, 2,600 guns were stolen out of cars in Memphis alone in 1 year.
Yeah.
And then 2,100, were 2,100 of that went on to be used in violent crimes. So it's
but if the left was to ban guns, those would all be turned in.
True. Yeah,
so nothing to worry about.
They'd lay down, the gun-free zones. They just lay them down right there.
Yeah,
wouldn't even cross over the line.
They would never. They would never. We haven't heard much from the parents of the shooter, but we are learning more. What was the family dynamic like, and what is the mom doing now that is raising some eyebrows? I'll tell you about it when we get back. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Zero Res of Nashville. You hear me talking about them all the time because I love them. 4 kids, man, but they track in some mud. They track in some dirt, and they track in some grime. By the end of the summer, between the 4 kids and the 2 dogs, dirt, paw prints, mystery stains, I don't want to talk about on the carpet. It's like, who wants to identify the mystery stain? Do you? No. What you do is you call Zero Res of Nashville, and they're going to come through and they're going to clean with their exclusive ZR water. And it's going to leave behind no soap, no harsh chemicals, no residue, which means your carpets and upholstery are going to look insanely clean, and they're going to stay clean longer. And then your kids can sprawl out on the floor just like mine do, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the mystery stain. That's gone. You don't have to worry about what's in the fibers. It's just clean and smooth sailing moving forward. It's not just carpets they do. They'll do air ducts, tile, rugs, upholstery, the works. Perfect for back-to-school season when you're taking your home back after the summer chaos. And it's going to be perfect after baseball season as well. I'm already circling on my calendar when I'm going to get Zero Res back after baseball season. It's like, guys, take the cleats off. But we will. We will once we hit the rug. It's like perfect. Perfect. Right now in August, if you're dealing with the problems I'm dealing with, 3 rooms for just $109 from Zero Res. 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. ZeroResNashville.com.
Well, in light of the Minneapolis church shooting, the debate over guns has certainly been rekindled. We'll have a story. Also, we'll have this morning's money news. That's coming up at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So we are learning more about the family of the shooter, the family life, the family dynamics. Not exactly great. Not exactly great. And we're learning that the mother lawyering up. These things are pretty interesting. We're going to talk about it real quick, though. I got some people hanging on the line that want to talk. Is it Mary or Marie? I think it might be Marie in Hendersonville. What's up, Marie?
Marie. Chris, I love your show. You are one of the people that I really admire because you really get it. You actually, on so many topics, you actually get it. And I just admire people like that. And I teach my kids to be that, like that. And a lot of this, Chris, I feel, and I work with a lot of children, and I feel like parents have gotten lazy. You know, it's much easier when your child comes to you and says, I'm feeling anxiety and I'm overwhelmed and, you know, they're going through depression. It's much easier for a parent to get them to a doctor of one visit, then it's the social worker. Next thing you know, you're to the psychiatrist.
Yep.
And the medication is being dispensed. And it's a very easy, short process, easier than people know. And you're right, Chris, it's mental health, nothing to do with the guns. Short story is my daughter, 16-year-old daughter, wrote an amazing essay that was submitted yesterday, and she read it to me last night. Basically, it was about superheroes don't come in capes. They sometimes come in different ways. And she talked about how when she struggled in her junior year with anxiety, that her mom, talked with her. We talked it through. I shared with her some things that I had in my childhood and that I went through the same thing at those ages that you're talking about, Chris.
Yep.
And we worked through it. We didn't work through it with medication, doping her up, and, you know, and taking the easy way out. And she wrote this amazing essay that she shared with me last night. She submitted, and her teachers and everybody were like, wow. See, that's how we work through things, not being a lazy parent. And she wrote in that essay that her mom taught her to be brave, show up, and work through hard things.
I love that.
And
I love that. You sound like an amazing mom. If you could email me that essay, I'd love to read it. It's chris.hand@cumulus.com. Seriously, I'd love to check it out. I mean, one of the things that I tell my kids, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Marie, but I appreciate the call. One of the things I tell my kids is like, being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Being brave means that you're scared and you do it anyway. And then it's choose your hard. And I think that the same thing you can say to parents, like, choose your hard. Like, is it hard to talk to your kids? Is it hard to put your foot down? Is it hard to rip the internet out of the house? Sure. That's hard. Is it hard if you go along with the delusions, with the mental illness, and then you find yourself at a place where something tragic happens? Yeah, that's hard too. So things are going to get hard. Things are going to get hard. Choose your hard. God gave you a choice. You can figure it out. You can make the right choices. On the way, we're going to talk about the family life of this shooter. The mom is lawyering up. Is that a red flag? I don't know. Maybe not when you see what happens to parents in these kind of situations. But we'll talk about it. New York Post is an interesting write-up. I'll bring that to you on the way. It's 10:01. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 1 minute past 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Your Labor Day holiday weekend forecast is on the way. After the mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church and School this week, the debate has been rekindled about what lawmakers can do to prevent shootings like this from happening again. 2 children are dead and When police say a gunman opened fire during a mass, it ushered in the first week of school. More than a dozen other children were hurt, some with serious gunshot injuries. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. On Good Morning America this morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson said there are no current plans to bring any kind of gun reform legislation to the House floor, but signaled that he would be open to hearing ideas.
There are many common sense measures that can and should be taken to protect children at schools and churches that do not involve taking away the constitutional rights of law-abiding American citizens. At the end of the day, the problems in these situations is not the guns, it's the human heart.
Let's take a look at the market numbers report. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They are online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's money news, here's Dave Packer.
Investors hoping the rally continues today. This after stocks closed Thursday in record territory and the S&P 500 reaching 6,500 for the first time. Wall Street reacting to better than expected economic news. The Commerce Department reporting the nation's output of goods and services expanded at a 3.3% annual pace from April through June after shrinking 0.5% in the first 3 months of the year. Brace for higher prices. Big consumer names like J.M. Smucker and Hormel Foods warning this week that pressure from tariffs and higher beef costs will force them to raise prices. Ace Hardware also warning that it's going to have to jack up prices. Target, Walmart, and Best Buy saying they've already been passing those higher costs along. Nike plans another round of layoffs in September, making for 3 consecutive years of layoffs as Nike restructures. The company says that less than 1% of corporate employees will be affected in the United States and Canada.
Stock numbers currently. The Dow is down 194. The S&P, it's down 48. And the NASDAQ, it's down 265. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Elon Musk's privately funded tunnel from downtown BNA.
The most cutting-edge transit systems in the world.
They call it the Music City Loop. We call it the BNA hole.
We've submitted a list of questions, and so we're looking forward to the opportunity to get answers.
Questions like, how does a tunnel work? Or how can I be the biggest a-hole in the room without even trying? Because clearly, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to keep traffic backed up until every driver becomes an a-hole. The BNA hole. Zero cost to the taxpayers, and that's the real problem for the left.
I kind of think that's on brand.
Not enough opportunity to play tax collector a-hole. The BNA hole, where progress goes to upset liberals.
I'm Pastor Alan Jackson, and I'm excited to invite you to join me for my brand new show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8, I'll be talking about the week's news and headlines, but through a biblical lens. Together, we'll look at what's happening in our world and how God's Word can guide us through it. Join me, Pastor Alan Jackson, Sunday evenings at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And you can listen on iHeartRadio and tune in.
10:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're going to be joined by Monica Page here momentarily, live from the north lawn of the White House when we go beyond the fence with Monica Page. But normally we send a Zoom link, but then we switched it up to Google Meet.
Yeah, we switched up to Google Meet last week, and I think just from the repetitiveness of Zoom.
We forgot to tell her. I forgot to tell her.
Nah, it's okay.
My fault.
She's on and we'll be on in a sec.
She'll be joining us momentarily. Monica's one of the best. She's had a busy week at the White House. The week kicked off with those executive orders criminalizing burning the flag if it incites violence, and then the revoking of cashless bail in D.C., and also the threatening of federal funding to cities that have cashless bail. That's how the week started, along with the president of the Republic of Korea. Which I don't know. Do you say Republic of Korea, or do you want to say South Korea? People want to say. I always want to say South Korea.
I lean towards South Korea.
That's what I feel like. That's what you should do. I want to ask her if she knows about the old South Korean president that was arrested and jailed because she was a member of a witch cult. Anytime South Korea comes up, I think it's important to bring that up because it is a matter of public record. It wasn't that long ago either that a president of South Korea was arrested for being a member of a witch cult. Honestly, fact check me. I dare you. People don't want to talk about these things. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable when the president of Korea is a member of a witch cult. I understand. I know. Who could envision our world leaders being satanic pedophiles? Anybody who could see that happening? It's not. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. But we'll have Monica Page joining here momentarily, live from the White House North Lawn. In the meantime, your phone calls. Let's go to Joni on the road. What's up, Joni?
Hi. I listened to Dan earlier, and then I just tuned into you, and everybody's talking about medication again, medicating people,
Yep.
Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
And medicating people, and the medication isn't always the issue. The medication for many people is needed. People go to the doctor, they need the medication, They take it, they go for therapy, I told you yesterday, we talked yesterday, and, you exercise, you pray, you do other things to cope with what's going on, but we haven't talked about how they were talking about cannabis earlier and how that's not a problem. It is a problem here. It is a problem. People are, with the dispensaries, people are taking and eating, they're eating the, gummies and stuff. And what I've heard and read is that cannabis at this point is more potent than it used to be back in the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I appreciate the call, Joni. I really do. I would argue that the psychotropic drugs are far more dangerous than cannabis. I'm not a medical doctor, but that's my opinion on the matter. Right now, though, we're joined by Monica Page live from the White House North Lawn. Let's go beyond the fence with Monica Page. Monica, how are you? How we doing, Monica? You got me on the stream, Monica Page. Sorry, we're having a technical difficulty with Monica. I heard her say hello. What's up, Monica?
Oh my gosh.
You there?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on? How are you? Sorry, we're working through some technical difficulties. What's up, lady?
Oh, I'm good. Are we live right now?
We're live on the air.
Amazing. Sorry, none of your producers talk to me. I have no idea what we're doing, but we're good. We're here. It's Friday. Beautiful day at the White House, the South Lawn. They're blasting music. It's fantastic. Good vibes here.
Are they just constantly blasting music now out of the speakers on the new back patio?
I will say yes, and they've got a great song selection. I mean, between Ness and Dorma, Elvis, you never know what he's going to play next.
I mean, he's got the best playlist. That's what we've been told. So you've had a wild week at the White House, kicked off with some controversial executive orders and a visit from the president of South Korea. Side note, did you know that, and before we get to that, did you know that one of the presidents of Korea was arrested for being a member of a witch cult?
Actually, I had no idea.
It's true. You should Google it. Google it when we're done with this. It's a wild story, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like 10 years ago. All right, so tell me about the executive orders and what the vibe is on the ground at the White House. What do the leftist reporters feel about the flag burning? What do the conservative reporters feel about the flag burning executive order?
Yeah, two of these massive executive orders. I mean, like you just mentioned, doing away with cashless bail and basically just completely charging or fining or putting in jail for 1 year anybody who burns the American flag. Now, you hear a lot of conservatives and even people on the left that are criticizing the flag burning measure, saying that, this is a First Amendment right, this is freedom of speech. But there's a lot of question as to when someone were to burn the pride flag, why is that considered a hate crime? And you're jailed and possibly your reputation is ruined. But when you burn the American flag, it's a First Amendment freedom of speech measure, right? So you hear a lot. It's very messy because you get both sides of the aisle criticizing it, even conservatives. But at the end of the day, we have to remember we have people who died for that flag. Yep. And that flag represents our freedoms. That flag represents our country. It doesn't represent a human being or a specific leader. It represents the freedoms that we hold in this country and what our founding fathers had really built this country on. So that's all I'll say about that, because I know there's a lot of people who feel very strongly about that measure. But it's all about freedom and it's all about love for our country at the end of the day.
I'm here for it. A lot of people will say, oh, well, the Supreme Court already decided that was free speech. I was like, well, that was in 1989. So it doesn't even have the precedent as long as a Roe v. Wade, and we overturned that as well. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's going to be challenged, and we'll be watching it very, very closely. In the meantime, we have the cashless bail executive order. It's no longer going to be in D.C. I know that you're in D.C., and you've probably seen firsthand how safe it's been. What's the vibe on the ground on revoking cashless bail, and how quickly do we see federal funding being pulled from these cities that still have cashless bail?
That's going to be interesting because I think DC is really going to be leading the charge, given that it's our nation's capital. And you have a lot of people who are really behind this measure. I mean, you have both Democrats and Republicans behind this measure because, unfortunately, over, the last 4 years, maybe even before that, you've had a lot of criminals that, they get arrested and they get let back on the streets again, allowing for them to commit more crimes. I mean, you see it in New York a lot, especially when you see, these people are pushing other people on the subway. There's stabbings, there's terror threats, and unfortunately, they get let back out on the street as if nothing had ever happened. And they're arresting the same people over and over again. They got all these rap sheets. This is something that both sides should see as a good thing to keep our nation safe. I feel like it's so hypocritical. And the irony is just beyond me. When you see members who live in these cities, whether it's Congress members or just people, residents who live in these cities that are saying, Black Lives Matter, this is ridiculous. Why are we putting the military in? I'm like, do you prefer to live in squalor? Do you prefer to have people killed in your own city? Especially Chicago. Chicago has seen dozens of murders over the last weekend. And Jamie Pritzker's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. We don't need the president. People are dying in your city and you don't want the president's help. I mean, he could just make a couple phone calls and make it happen for you. Yeah. So I think we're going to see more cities.
We've been referring to Chicago as Chirac since you and I were little kids. Like, what are we talking about here, Pritzker? Yeah. It's insane. So is it going to happen quickly or are we going to see it? I mean, I know you had a really long conversation with Jeanine Pirro this week, Judge Jeanine, and she's one of the driving forces behind this, I'm sure. What's she saying about this and revoking the cashless bail?
Yeah, she says this is something that should have been happening a long time ago. And with everything that we're seeing, I asked her specifically, I said, how quickly can we start to see maybe other cities getting on board? And how can we ensure that this measure lasts beyond this administration? Because I know people want to see their community safe. So she said that the president always moves very quickly. I mean, I'll be interested to see how soon this comes. I mean, the president is heading to New York City towards the end of September 22nd and 23rd for the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. So he'll see for himself. I know they're going to have a lot of security and probably block off a lot of streets and clean up those streets for the world leaders. But to be in the Big Apple and to have him there and revisiting again, he could take measures into his own hands while he's there. I would not be surprised if that's during that time where he decides to take some action.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. I mean, I've heard the rumors that he might be going on a big blue city tour and stopping in a lot of these big cities. Are you hearing anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Wes Moore, he is the governor of Maryland here. He invited President Trump to go on a walking tour of Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is crazy with crime. It's like I went last summer, and I went, I believe, for a concert maybe a couple months back, and it is bad. It is bad shape. Like I thought DC was pretty bad. Baltimore is probably one of the worst that I have particularly seen in person the times that I have been there. So I'm hoping that comes soon. I mean, it's right next door. It's our neighboring city here. So I think we'll see things very, very quickly.
Yeah, I hope so. I saw a viral video coming out of Baltimore just last night that was tragic. A woman overdosing on fentanyl on the streets while she's giving birth. Yeah. That's Baltimore.
Yeah. These are the kinds of things we're dealing with. I mean, especially Philly too. That area needs help. There's a lot of cities that need help, and I think the president understands that. It's a very overwhelming effort for him. But listen, he's down to do what's right, and I think we're going to see a lot of change very soon.
Yeah, let's hope and let's pray. Meanwhile, Democrats don't want us praying. They are very much against prayer. I wish they would use that same kind of energy towards the Muslim faction of their base and see how it goes over. It probably wouldn't go over very well. But what are the Democrat reporters doing when it comes to the story of the Minneapolis tragedy? It seems like this is red meat for leftists to go after guns. And it seems like they don't want to focus on anything else.
Yeah, I mean, during the press briefing yesterday, it was very interesting because I was fully expecting a lot of questions to be surrounding gun control and gun reform laws. And surprisingly, we didn't hear much about that at all. I mean, we heard about, what this administration's message is to families who maybe don't feel safe in their own communities, don't feel safe sending their kids to school or going to church. All valid questions, of course. But, the narrative shifting is very interesting because it's not just, just some crazy killer. We got to take a look and start having conversations at mental health and how this kid obtained thousands of dollars worth of violent guns. It's about, you can look at the statistics and you're seeing this trans violence. And is that because of the hormones that they're taking? I think this administration is going to start looking into that. There's plenty of investigations that are underway, not only with the mental health sector and how somebody's brain can be altered in such a bizarre state, and also looking at, obviously, this very devastating situation that killed 2 children and injured dozens. I think this administration is taking this extremely seriously. We have the flags here at half staff till August 31st in the evening. So the president signed that proclamation just as soon as it happened, as soon as he was briefed on it this week.
Well, I mean, it's good to see that, but I wonder if the lack of questions about gun control from the leftist reporters is because they know that Carolyn Leavitt is behind that podium now and she will destroy them with just a little bit of logic. We're joined by Monica Page. She is live from the White House North Lawn. Monica, what's a story that we're missing this week, given all of the headlines that have really been burying some other stories that we should be paying a little bit more attention to?
I got 2 good ones for you, Chris. The president this week signed a proclamation honoring the family members of the 13 service members that were killed during Abbey-gate just about 4 years ago. He had the family members in the Oval Office this past week. It wasn't on the president's schedule, so this was a nice surprise to see the president honoring those family members of those who were tragically killed during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. So that's one story. And another is that the First Lady actually unveiled the AI Challenge, which is basically helping people, the American people, understand and learn more about artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence assisted work, because that seems to be where the future of our nation is going with AI. And the First Lady knows very well, as she's signed the Take It Down Act, which directly involves artificial intelligence. So she wants to be able to make sure people are aware of the dangers of AI and also the good that it could do as well. So those are some 2 big stories that happened this past week.
Well, Monica Page, she's always fantastic with the reporting, and we appreciate you every single time. A lot of people get nervous about the AI, and I would just always say, somebody's going to control it. Do you want it to be America or do you want it to be China? I would much prefer this administration grabbing the bull by the horns and leading the way. Monica, how can we keep up with you and your reporting all weekend long?
Thanks so much, Chris. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monica Page TV. I hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. And by the way, gas prices are the lowest that they've been this Labor Day.
Let's go.
It's like 2020 prices low. So enjoy the weekend.
What's the similarity between now and 2020? Was there? It seems like Donald Trump's policies were still kind of, reaping benefits. Is that what you think it was in 2020?
Something like that.
Might have
something
been.
like that. We're
Might
not
have
draining the oil reserves for this one. So there's something to it with this administration.
Hey, appreciate you, Monica. As always, it's 10:22. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you see these people in Washington, D.C. and their stupid chant?
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
So here's why this is dumb. Because Donald Trump sending in the National Guard is to stop the murders. Donald Trump is actually saving lives. Over the last 2.5 years, they have had 561 black people murdered in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is sending in the National Guard to stop the crime. So Donald Trump is actually saving black lives.
The families now of the children killed in that Minneapolis shooting, they are speaking out. And RFK Jr., he's speaking out, calling the CDC corrupt. We'll have both of those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hands. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. Why would you need those?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. It's a reason. It's a reason. It's definitely a reason. We're learning more about the Minneapolis shooter's family life. Robin, that guy. His parents divorced. They've yet to make public statements about the shooting. Neither could be reached for comment. But Westman was 11 when his mother and his father, James Westman, divorced, 2013. At the time, he and his brother and sister lived with their parents in Hastings. It's another Twin Cities suburbs. But you learn more about the upbringing of this individual, and it does seem a little bit dicier. Now, we're from the outside looking in, and I think that you got to take that with a grain of salt. But we learned that police have been called to that residence at least 4 times from 2003 to 2016. So since this child was a baby, there was turmoil in that house, one way or the other. Police were called to the residence at least 4 times from 2003 to 2016, including once for a welfare check on an adult female, a sibling who was threatening suicide in 2014. Also in 2014, police responded to a report of vandalism at the home. Officers saw several offensive words and pictures written on windows of the garage and the father's car. Another call in 2010 was related to a juvenile problem with a 17-year-old daughter who was out of control, but nothing in the records indicates that those incidents involved the shooter, but it does paint more of a picture of the upbringing of this child. The shooter, this monster. You don't just flip a switch one day and become psychotic. It's a process. It's a process. And it seems like there was turmoil in this home since the shooter entered this world. We're also learning that the mother has lawyered up. Now, take this for what it may be. You're seeing in a lot of these kind of cases that the parents do see some criminal charges. I don't know if they will in Minnesota, but we know that it's being investigated by the FBI as a hate crime. If you got to hold somebody accountable, it could be the parents. And the mother, Mary Grace, is not cooperating with police officers and has hired a criminal defense attorney. This is from the New York Post. The mother of transgender Minneapolis mass shooter Robin Westman is not cooperating with police in the investigation and has hired a criminal defense attorney in the wake of the deadly shooting that killed 2 young children and 18 others. Mary Grace Westman, who worked at the Annunciation Catholic School, which was targeted by the deranged 23-year-old gunman Wednesday morning, has not contacted police nor responded to their attempts to reach her. Minneapolis police announced at a press conference on Thursday, "We have not been successful in talking to the shooter's mother," Police Chief Brian O'Hara said. Mary Grace has retained criminal defense attorney Ryan Gary, per Fox News. She's completely distraught about the situation and has no culpability, but is seeking an attorney to deal with calls like this, he told the outlet. Is that suspicious to you, or is that just kind of life in 2025? I could go either way, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that you could make the case one way or the other. But in this situation, I don't know. I do lean more towards, I think she's probably just getting advice and trying to keep herself out of prison or out of hefty fines and the like. We'll see, though, and we'll keep an eye on the story. 10:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have your holiday forecast coming up. The families of the children killed in that Minneapolis shooting are speaking out now. ABC's Alex Perez is in Minneapolis.
8-year-old Fletcher Merkel. Fletcher's dad, Jesse, emotional, speaking in front of the school, remembering his little boy.
Fletcher loved his family, friends, fishing, cooking, and any sport that he was allowed to play. While the hole in our hearts and lives will never be filled, I hope that in time our family can find healing.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying the CDC is corrupt and, quote, needs fixing, claiming the agency did not always follow science during the pandemic. His fight to change vaccine policy has led to the ousting of Director Susan Menarez, who was sworn in just last month. Menarez is disputing being fired, and 4 other officials at the CDC have now quit. Here's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
Kennedy will testify before a Senate committee next week. In the meantime, his top deputy, Jim O'Neill, will run the CDC. O'Neill says he supports vaccines, but not vaccine mandates.
Well, today marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in the Gulf. The storm killed more than 1,300 people in Louisiana and Mississippi, and it led to roughly $125 billion worth of damage. Well, here, 2 decades later, officials in Mississippi are commemorating those who helped during and after Katrina and also remembering the victims. Former governor of Mississippi, Haley Barbour, who led his state through the recovery, said he's proud of Mississippians for their resilience.
I am delighted to be able to be here to celebrate what's happened in the last 20 years on the coast and all over South Mississippi. God is great.
That is the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Bobcat Dirt Days is on the way. I'm counting it down like a kid counts down Christmas. It's happening Friday, September 12th from 10 to 3 at 7 Bobcat locations across Middle Tennessee as well as Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm Chris Hand. I'm going to be doing my show live at the Laverne location of Bobcat, and it's brought to you all by our regional Bobcat compact equipment dealers, a way of saying thank you to the construction and land moving pros who keep our communities growing. There's going to be attendance prizes all day, 10% off all in-stock genuine Bobcat parts, and 25% off first-time machine rentals booked by September 30th. And you don't want to miss your chance to win one of 2 Bobcat commercial mowers they're giving away on that day. Now, you just got to register by stopping by. You don't have to be there to win. There's going to be operator skills competitions, plenty of prize drawings throughout the day, plus plenty of snacks and drinks for you guys on your break, so we want you to stop by. Again, I'll be live from 9 to noon at the Bobcat of Nashville location in Laverne. I definitely want to see you there, or you can stop by any Bobcat location on September 12th to win prizes and learn more about Bobcat equipment. One tough animal, bobcatgdn.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Sorry, I wanted to let that bed breathe a little bit. It's one of my favorites.
Dude, it's a good one.
Little Gangstar. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's. I think it's in my top 3 for sure.
Me too. 1038, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. We love those guys. Patriots. Get your water filters from people that don't hate you. Betterwater.com. Honestly.
I mean, true.
Like what? Spend all your money with people that don't hate you. This is one of the biggest things, I say it all the time, and not a commercial, but like all the guys that advertise on WTN, they don't hate you, and I think that that's a big deal.
Well, occasionally when Pfizer slips in here, maybe. But,
Fair.
But
all the local guys that advertise on WTN.
There you go.
No, we love all the advertisers.
Yeah. Especially
Pfizer.
Well,
that's our favorite. I spell it PF. PFAV. It's our fave.
It's my favorite. I love the jab.
My fave. You get your booster yet?
You get stabbed at least 3 times a month?
You get your boosters? No, I haven't.
Dumb.
I haven't, actually.
So dumb.
I haven't. Did you hear what they're doing, though?
No, what are they doing?
Well, they took the emergency use authorization off the vaccines.
Oh, it took them long enough.
Right? So that's good news.
Yeah.
You know, apparently it's no longer an emergency. But they say that they're doing this that way you can't have mandates anymore. And if there's anything that anybody knows about the Chris Hand Show, that we're not a fan of mandates.
No.
All shapes and sizes. It's not our favorite. It's not our favorite. What?
I was going to say I don't like mandates. I prefer women dates.
We don't like men. Here's Marty McCary.
The FDA did 2 things. One, we approved COVID vaccines with for the newest strain, and they're for high-risk individuals. Second thing we did is remove the emergency use authorization for COVID vaccines, which will eliminate the possibility of doing mandates in young, healthy subjects. Mandates are no longer legally possible.
Outlawing mandates. This is what I voted for. Is this what you voted for?
But anyone who wants to get a vaccine can get a vaccine. Remember, 20% of medications in the United States are given off-label. The vaccines will still be available.
Dr. McCary, I noticed the role of the physician seems to be increasing here. As a practicing physician, I'm sensitive to that. In other words, doctors are more involved in deciding who gets these vaccines. Talk to me about it.
Well, look, that's exactly what we want. We want to put the power back with doctors and their patients. We want these decisions to be a discussion. The government is not your doctor.
Amen. That's all I really have on that topic. I mean, I think we could probably spend more time on the schmack scenes and rail against them and joke and laugh. But, I mean, we're kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But
yeah, I think we should just mark it as a win and
take the W. And I do. Listen, there are a lot of people who are going to be like, "What? They didn't pull them off the market completely." And like, I get that attitude. I really do. I mean, we've seen that it didn't stop the spread, it didn't stop the transmission, didn't stop you from getting it. They still said you had to do it to go to work, school. Like, I understand the frustration when it comes to these vaccines and the mandates in general. But it's a conversation between you and your doctor. If you're a high-risk individual, then it's up to you. Do your risk-reward analysis. That's always what it should have been. It's always what it should have been. Also, if it's the greatest thing that science has ever discovered, you don't need to force people to take it. They would have lined up on their own. That was a huge red flag to me. Science. All right, that does it for the Science Hour. We're not doctors, by the way, in case you're keeping score at home.
Anecdotally, worst doctors on the show.
Anecdotally, the number one show for people who don't trust doctors.
I can get behind that.
Me too. Do you remember, did I tell you the story when they tried to force a COVID test on my daughter?
No.
Oh,
what?
Dude, I lost my mind.
How have I not heard this yet?
So this is like heat of the pandemic.
Like peak.
Yep. Everybody's still masking up. So it's like, oh my gosh. So like I was already perturbed that we had to put a mask on to go to the doctor's office. Already. So that's what I was walking in. And we needed a strep throat test. Because if you're a parent and you've seen your kids have strep throat before, like you're like, oh, there it is. That's strep. We need give me a little amoxicillin and we'll get you back on your feet.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to go through these stupid hoops. And to get the amoxicillin, you got to get the strep throat test. Gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
Got to do it. Which that seems a little silly to me. But anyway, you got to do it. So we went in for a strep throat test. My daughter's already panicking. She's like, they're going to make me take a COVID test. They're going to tickle my brain. And I'm like, I'm not going to let them. I'm not going to let them. And she's in kindergarten at this point. She's like, gosh, time has flown. She's 11 now. She's in kindergarten. And this doctor busted in like she was George Clooney on ER. I kid you not. I was like, immediately, I'm like, this is not going well. And she's like, we need to get a PCR test on this kid's stat. Kid you not. Kid you not.
I believe it.
My daughter just like turns white. She's like, you promised me I wouldn't. So I look at the doctor. She's like, can I speak to you in the hallway for a second? And she's just dumbfounded. And so
this is my show, not yours.
So we talked about? So we go out into the hallway. And I said, you're a pediatrician. I was like, and I'm using their verbiage. I'm like, we're in the middle of a pandemic and you think it's okay to freak out a child? You're a pediatrician. What are you doing? We're not here for a COVID test. We're here for a strep throat test. And she said to me, well, if you don't take a COVID test, you and your entire family will need to quarantine for 14 days. And I said, you and what authority? And she looked at me dumbfounded. And I remember this explicitly. I said, we need to reevaluate the relationship here. I'm the customer. I said, you're providing me a service.
Yeah.
I said, if you can't provide me that service, we'll go elsewhere for the service. We're here for a strep throat test. If there's any issue with that, then we'll leave. She gave us the strep throat test.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? She had strep throat. so thank you, ma'am. We don't go there anymore.
Makes sense.
Yep. Facts. That's my COVID test story. We still never took one of those.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. It's the worst.
Never took a PCR test. Never took a vaccine. Hey, teach their own if you did that. And I know some people are forced to do it, and that's bovine scatology on its own. All right, let's switch gears. I don't know how do we get on the COVID stuff?
Betterwater.com.
Oh yeah. We were something about mandates, right?
Yeah. We don't like them mandates.
Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. We are a huge fan of the crackdown on crime, though. You like that pivot? Masterful.
Clean.
Masterful. Hit like and subscribe in the chat if you like that pivot. Caroline Leavitt yesterday had a message to all the Democrats who seem to be rallying against Donald Trump's crackdown on crime, talking about the message from President Trump to Americans in Democrat-run cities. Caroline Leavitt saying, guys, it doesn't have to be this way.
This entire effort has vindicated what President Trump and law and order advocates have been saying for years. And this is our message to Americans in Democrat-run cities nationwide. Decline is a choice. You don't have to live in constant fear of being robbed, raped, or murdered. Your leaders are lying to you, and they have been failing you for decades.
Facts.
The President Trump approach of upholding law and order by letting our brave men and women in blue actually do their jobs to aggressively fight crime works. In just a few weeks, President Trump has done more for D.C. residents than Democrats did in 50 years.
Facts.
And this can be replicated in other crime-ridden cities across the nation. As President Trump has said, all of these elected officials in charge have to do is pick up the phone and ask for the president and the federal government's help. President Trump doesn't care if they are a Republican or a Democrat leader. He wants Americans to be safe and for every law-abiding American citizen across the country to be able to thrive in their city and in their community.
That's not a Republican or a Democrat issue. Not wanting to be carjacked is it's not a political stance. It's not wanting to be murdered. That seems to be pretty similar whether you're Democrat or Republican. Yet Democratic leadership, they pretend that this is a divisive issue. You talk to the citizens in these cities, and they want the help that they're seeing being provided in D.C. And I mean, we could do another whole show with just residents from Chicago saying, please send help. J.D. Vance yesterday, while he was in Wisconsin, he was talking to a group of people. He's giving a speech, and J.D. Vance was just railing against Democrats for supporting crime. Like, guys, why are you doing this? Again, it's not Democrat or Republican to want your kids to live in a safe community. It's not. There's no political affiliation there. You're not a Democrat or Republican if you don't want your stuff stolen. You're just a human. Like, that's just how it works. J.D. Vance railing against Democrat leaderships who are essentially supporting crime at this point.
Chicago's had a lot of crime problems. Why is it that you have mayors and governors who are angrier about Donald Trump offering to help them than they are about the fact that their own residents are being carjacked and murdered in the streets? It doesn't make an ounce of sense.
Yep.
And the last... And the last point that I'll make about this, sir, is, I'm going to violate the advice I gave to the President of the United States yesterday, because we were having lunch yesterday and the President said, JD, I don't know how I did it. I have actually got the Democrats to come out in defense of crime. And it is crazy. If Donald Trump came out tomorrow and said he really likes puppies, you would have AOC come out and say puppies are terrible.
Yeah, he's not lying. He's not lying. I mean, we've done this so many times. Trump says breathing's good. You'd have Democrats with bags over their heads. If Trump cured cancer, they'd say he's stealing jobs from doctors. I mean, we could go down the line. If Donald Trump says something's good, Democrats are going to say it's bad. But he's baiting the left into these 80-20 issues. And then on the crime, it's not even 80-20. It's 99-1. There was literal polling from the AP, the Associated Press, and I believe it was NORC research that did the poll, where it was 80% of the country, 78% of the country was like, it's a massive problem. 18% of the country said it was a problem. 1% said it's no problem. It was literally, and I know the math didn't work there, but I'm just trying to recall the poll off the top of my head. But it was literally 99-1. But again, Democrats don't want Trump to get any wins, and if he says one thing, they'll come out and say, no, puppies are terrible.
Offensive crime. And it is crazy. If Donald Trump came out tomorrow and said he really likes puppies, you would have AOC come out and say puppies are terrible. So you have Donald Trump, who has reduced murders, carjackings, and armed robberies in 14 days in Washington, D.C., and now you have national Democrats coming out and saying, oh, well, we love murders and carjackings and armed robberies. Why won't Democrats just use some common sense? We're going to disagree about stuff from time to time.
Yep.
I'm sure Democrats want higher taxes and I want lower taxes. We may disagree about some foreign policy issues, but on this basic principle that murdering people, armed robberies, carjackings are bad, wouldn't it be nice if the Democrats just worked a little across the aisle for once?
Yeah, it sure would. But I won't hold my breath. It's 10:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Speaker Mike Johnson weighing in on the mass walkouts at the CDC. We'll tell you about that. Let you hear it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 10:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. I just got a wild text from Karen, who happens to be a member of the Red Pilled Moms Club. We don't shout out the Red Pilled Moms Club enough. Shout out to the Red Pilled Moms Club.
It's been a while from the consistency there.
Dude, this is a story that we're going to cover in the lightning round. You've heard about fake birds. Have you heard about fake rabbits?
Ah, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's true. It's true.
Fake rabbits. They're everywhere in my neighborhood. Well, rabbits are, but now you got me thinking.
I'm nervous. We, too, have a lot of rabbits in my neighborhood. And
I see them in mine.
All right, this is getting weird. This is getting weird, boys.
It's like I want to switch to the X-Files theme, but I think I'm going to save it for the lightning round.
All right. I also have an idea on how to make these robot rabbits more lethal. We'll talk about all that in the lightning round, I assure you. That happens at 11:35 every single day. We had no lightning in the lightning round yesterday.
Ooh.
It was a dry storm.
Dry storm. The rain was all on you. No lightning.
There was no lightning. We couldn't hear it. Couldn't hear it.
Nice and soft.
It was, yeah.
Soft
I was thinking I should do it myself, but I refrained. I refrained from that.
Keep talking about you wanting me to add more lightning sound effects.
I was going to go.
Adding your lightning sound effects would have been perfect.
I've said that. I've said it a couple times. I'm like, we need more lightning. We need different lightning. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's just, it's got to sound different. This is what I put Mason through behind the scenes.
I would say a
Mason,
daily basis. This is like this is hourly, bud.
I'd be like, Mason, we don't have enough lightning variety. He's like, what does that mean?
What do you mean?
Yep. All right, so we'll talk about that in the lightning round. In the meantime, Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller's my favorite. Me and Dan in our podcast, we talked. So our podcast, Mostly Peaceful, drops tomorrow. All right, 7 a.m. is what we're doing. 7 a.m. Tennessee time, 7 a.m. It's going to drop, and we talk about people that are almost more MAGA than Trump. That's one of the topics of the discussion. And Stephen Miller came up because he's just a beast. Stephen Miller is only 40 years old, and I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of millennials taking over the America First mantle. Stephen Miller is one of those guys, and he went berserk on Democrats who don't want their cities protected from crime.
Well, look, Laura, we've seen the polling. This is a 99 to 1% issue. In other words, 99% of the public says crime is either a problem or a major problem in their community. Only 1% of the country says crime is not a problem in our nation's major cities. Think about that for a second. Democrats have chosen a 1% issue. And over 80% of the country says crime is a major problem. President Trump has shown in just the last 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., that if you have the willpower and the strength, that you can break the back of these criminal gangs. There's been a steeper drop in crime in D.C., as the mayor herself has acknowledged, than any city has seen in American history over just the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, compare that to Chicago, where last weekend, 34 Chicagoans were shot, multiple were killed, and among the dead, a 5-year-old boy gunned down by gang violence in that city. That is the Democrat policy.
And it's weird, too. I didn't hear any gun control cries from the Democrats after that 5-year-old in Chicago was gunned down. No. None. Quiet as a church mouse on that front. Interesting. Some Democrats are starting to take notice of what Donald Trump is doing. And they're trying their best to mimic it. Looking at you, Gavin Newsom. We'll talk about it when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And by the way, all you texters telling us that it's not the sound of lightning, it's the sound of thunder. Come on. That's lightning. It's 11 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And Speaker of the House Mike Johnson weighing in on the mass walkouts at the CDC to protest the firing of Susan Moneris, saying he has full confidence in Secretary R.F. Kennedy Jr. He didn't comment on the firing or walkouts affecting access to vaccines.
We'll have to see how all that sorts out. The CDC plays an important role in the government and in our society, and we want it to be strong, and we want it to be restored to its original intent. The Secretary's made a good point that the existing leadership was not doing that.
And the Trump administration's already tapped a replacement for the CDC. Jim O'Neill, the man named as the interim director, served in the Department of Health and Human Services under President George W. Bush. He also worked for tech billionaire Peter Thiel. In our nation's capital today,
President Trump on Thursday revoked Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris starting in September. That's according to a copy of a memo sent to the Secretary of Homeland Security, reviewed by ABC News, that authorizes DHS to discontinue security-related procedures for Harris. Former President Biden extended Harris's protective detail an additional year on top of the 6 months she's required by law to have a Secret Service detail as the former vice president. That's according to multiple officials. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
A tax loophole called the de minimis exemption that had been in place for decades for imported goods is now being closed by the Trump administration, and it could lead to packages from other countries to be more expensive, delayed, or canceled.
We're talking about all those cheap goods that we buy online. Well, they could get a whole lot more expensive. The Trump administration just closed a loophole that allowed goods $800 and under to enter the U.S. tax-free. But as of this morning, those goods will face 10 to 50% tariffs depending on the country they came from, or a flat fee of $80 to $200 per package.
That's ABC's Selena Wang. Clothing brand J. Crew coming under fire for appearing to publish ads that utilized artificial intelligence. We get more from ABC's Trevor Alt.
Part of the criticism of AI advertising is that it's possible this art was specifically told to resemble the work real people had done who were not paid this time. And that is the big debate. If your work is used to train the AI for free, is that theft? Well, that depends on who you ask.
J. Crew released a statement to The Cut saying, "We're always exploring new forms of creative expression and, in all caps, we engage artists of all genres to interpret our brand and experiment with different art mediums." Today marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in the Gulf. Officials in Mississippi commemorating those who helped, remembering the victims. This is Governor Tate Reeves.
In the days that followed, Mississippians did what Mississippians do best. We showed up, and Mississippians showed out. Neighbors helped neighbors.
Storm killed more than 1,300 people in Louisiana and Mississippi, and it led to roughly $125 billion in damage. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So we got Gavin Newsom out here doing his absolute best to try and intimidate MAGA.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire. And we're going to punch these in the mouth.
You know, it's funny. I can't think of one person that's actually intimidated by Gavin Newsom. Okay. I stand corrected. That Chinese kid looked pretty intimidated. It's 11:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. As you're enjoying your long weekend, if you found some downtime and you want some more content, we're always cooking stuff up on social media. You can find me on Instagram, True Social, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, my personal page. All of them have the same handle, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit follow, hit subscribe, do all the things. I'll follow you back as well. Appreciate you guys doing that. As I know, it's so cheesy, and I personally hate it. But it does help to have more followers on social media.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Part of the beast.
Dude, so I don't know. I hate social media. Like, I get what it's there for, and I use it as a resource when I'm doing a lot of show prep, but I hate it at the same time. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a necessary evil.
I don't even know if it's a necessary evil.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know how necessary it is. I feel like I'm just inviting that evil in. Speaking of evil, a lot of big city crime happening. Democrats pushing back against it. You got the governor of Illinois saying, we'll fight back against the tyranny of Donald Trump right after this sandwich. You got the mayor of Chicago saying that what Donald Trump wants to do is a tyranny and the people of Chicago will rise up. Then you got governors like Gavin Newsom who says there's no need for Donald Trump to deploy the National Guard. We don't have a crime issue. I'm going to deploy my own police to clean up crime. Oh. Wait a second. So you don't have a crime issue in California, but you're going to deploy crime suppression teams. That's what we're getting from Gavin Newsom. That's the latest. Breitbart has it. California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced his deployment of his own crime suppression teams around the state after President Trump floated the idea of extending his Washington, D.C. crime crackdown to other cities. Trump signed an executive order Monday directing the Pentagon to train National Guard troops to enforce federal law and be ready for rapid nationwide deployment, naming Chicago, Baltimore, New York City, San Francisco as potential locations for cleanup operations. And it took 3 days. It took 3 days, and Gavin Newsom said, we don't need that help. We don't have crime. I'm going to deploy my own crime suppression teams. Wait, what?
And we've received additional requests in other parts of the state. And that's what we wanted to highlight here today, that we're going to be expanding this operation, building on the success that is now included over 9,000 arrests statewide, a effort that will now take shape on Border Division down in San Diego. We're going to advance this effort down in L.A., to other parts of the Central Valley, not just limited to Bakersfield, in partnership with Mayor Go there in San Bernardino. And we're going to expand this operation in a collaborative that continues to include the cities and counties, our partners in the Sheriff's Office and local law enforcement agencies.
You know what this tells me? This tells me that Gavin Newsom only cares about one thing, and that's power. He is a chameleon, a shape-shifting lizard person, and he will do whatever he can to get power. And if that means copycatting Donald Trump's policies, then he's going to do that. Now, at the end of the day, this is going to be a benefit for the people of California. Make no mistake about it. And I don't necessarily want to knock the effort to crack down on crime, but I do want to highlight the reasons he doesn't care about the citizens of California. He never has. He would have had water in the fire hydrants if that was the case. He doesn't. What he cares about is power. And this becoming a central issue of the campaigns, Donald Trump's ability to crack down on crime in D.C. Gavin Newsom doesn't want Trump coming into California and cleaning things up. He just doesn't. There's no way. He doesn't want Donald Trump to get the W. And just a couple weeks ago, he was saying, this is when they deployed the National Guard for the riots that were ensuing because of immigration in Los Angeles, the riots that some people have pointed to shady figures like George Soros as funding. Just as that was happening and Trump deployed the National Guard, he was saying that there's no crime in L.A. There's no need for additional resources.
Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets illegally and for no reason.
No reason. 2 weeks later. I'm deploying crime teams to crack down on crime in California. The same crime that you told us 2 weeks earlier. There was no reason for the additional search. Again, this is a good thing with people in California, and I'm happy for them. I do. I have friends that live out there, and I can only imagine how horrible it is. I hear horror stories. I got a friend, Joe Bob. You know, he's been on the show before. He hosts Turning Point Tonight on Real America's Voice. He's got young kids. He's got a pregnant wife, and it's like to think about having to navigate through life in a city like that is crazy. It's crazy. Let's put it this way. When he goes out, he drives a big, massive truck, and he says that we were talking the other day. He's like, I'd love a Tesla. He's like, I just worry if I turn the corner and run into a group of protesters, if that's going to get me out of there. That's the reality of living in L.A. So he drives a big truck. That's L.A. So the crackdown in crime, I'm happy about. I'm happy about for people that I know and friends and stuff like that. But the reasons behind Gavin Newsom's crackdown, they're not honest. They're not good by any stretch of the imagination. But that's okay. That's okay. Again, I think that we just need to take those wins. J.D. Vance, though, yesterday he was given an interview with Will Cain on Fox News. And J.D., he talks about just the constant mimicking of Donald Trump by Gavin Newsom and how ridiculous it is. I mean, and you can go down the line from the way they're running the Twitter account to policy. But J.D. Vance says, you can't mimic the king.
Instead of just attacking the United States for all of its problems.
You bring up humor. Gavin Newsom sure thinks he's a comedian these days on social media, and so does much of the left. His polling numbers have gone way up since he started mimicking President Trump on social media.
Yeah.
What do you make of Governor Newsom?
I make of Governor Newsom that you said he's mimicking Donald Trump, and I think that's exactly right. The lesson of Donald Trump, the lesson of President Trump in American politics is you've got to be authentic to yourself. And when I see Gavin Newsom trying to act like Donald Trump, that's the opposite of authenticity. He's not trying to be Gavin Newsom, whoever that is. He's trying to be a fake carbon copy of Donald Trump, and it just doesn't work. You can't mimic the king. You can't mimic the master. You ought to just go and be yourself, and I think that the American people would like that a lot more than a cheap imitation of the President of the United States.
I mean, I tend to agree. I tend to agree. But an authentic Gavin Newsom couldn't get a single vote in this country. That slimy guy. Hey, by the way, he had a 10-year plan to reach homelessness, to end homelessness in San Francisco. We're nearing the 22nd anniversary of that plan. He's really done a great job in California. He's crushed it, absolutely crushed it. But you can point at any Democrat-run city, Democrat-run state, and highlight the failures. Those failures were highlighted yesterday inside the press briefing room when Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, was in the new media seat. Do you guys know Brandon Tatum? He's pretty good. I like Brandon. Nice guy. Met him a couple times. But he's in the new media seat, and he nailed it on the question of Chicago crime with Caroline Leavitt about how everybody has turned a blind eye to this for decades. And presidents, conservative presidents, have also turned a blind eye to what's been happening in Chicago for decades. I made the comment to Monica Page moments ago when she joined us live from the White House North Lawn. We've been calling it Chirac since we were kids. And that nickname was given to it affectionately because at a certain point during the Iraq War, there were more Americans being killed in Chicago than in Iraq. It's not getting any better. So as the Democrats run around Chicago and say we don't need help, Brandon Tatum says that is bovine scatology.
With these shootings, and the second thing is Chicago. You know, anybody with a connected brainstem knows that Chicago's crime is out of control. And young black men are getting killed, laying dead in the middle of the streets every single day in Chicago. No president has addressed any of these issues.
Right.
And so what is the White House going to do to address issues in their capacity to deal with the conflict and violence in Chicago?
Sure. I mean, that's a good question. And highlight the black president that came from Illinois who also didn't do anything about the crime in Chicago. And highlight the Democrats who scream and blood-curdling scream, Black Lives Matter. yet they're silent about the devastation in Chicago. We talked about earlier, the crime over the weekend. Stephen Miller was highlighting his 5-year-old was shot. 5-year-old. But since it was a black kid and it was in Chicago, not a peep from the media, we don't have Democrats screaming for gun control because it was a black kid in Chicago. And listen, it's been happening for a long time. Long time. But people see a glimmer of hope now that President Trump is in. And people see the fact that D.C. got cleaned up real quick. Real quick. People want that in Chicago. The citizens want that in Chicago. Caroline Levitt.
Down on crime. It is a priority of this administration to ensure that American cities are safe again. And I'm so glad that you brought up the crime in Chicago, because we've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ.
Yep.
And the statistics beg to differ. And I'll just share a few of those statistics with all of you. For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city. This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way.
Chirac.
For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. In 2024, just last year, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. That's more than double the murder rate in Islamabad and nearly 15 times more than Delhi.
It's insane. I'll add one more stat to that because I did the research earlier this week. Chicago also leads the nation in homicides victims under 19. So it's kids. It's kids. And the Democrats cry about kids and they want to remove your guns. But 13 years of this in Chicago leading the nation. Is that the only thing Chicago leads the nation in? I think so. No cries. No cries for help. Nothing. The citizens have made their voices heard, but the leadership hasn't. This is what we see time and time again. It's not just Chicago. It's not just Baltimore. It's not just Philadelphia. It's not just Detroit. I mean, it's all these cities. Memphis, St. Louis. I saw a story out of St. Louis, and this is part of the problem. This is part of the biggest problem with these Democrat-run cities. St. Louis, there's a bunch of outrage ensuing. This guy, Brandon Levy, charged with murdering an off-duty police officer in St. Louis, got released on $5,000 bond. Killed a cop out on $5,000 bond. Yep. Nothing to see here. No calls for gun control on that one. No. But this is the reality of the situation. The Democrat Party doesn't care about crime. The Democrat Party cares about power. The entire rank and file of the system, of the Democrat Party. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, Wes Moore, Gavin Newsom, on and on we go. They might change their policies, but they're only going to change their policies to hang on to that power. It's wild. Stephen Miller yesterday saying that the president is going to make our cities great again, and he might do it personally by visiting every single one of these big blue-run cities. This happened last night on the Laura Ingraham program. Stephen Miller breaking it all down that President Trump may be going to all of these cities one by one by one.
Certainly something that he would consider. The president is committed to the idea our cities should be great.
Yep.
Our cities should be safe. The parks should be beautiful. The schools should be amazing. The sidewalks should be pristine. All of those things are possible if you just take the city back from the drug addicts, the vagrants, the criminal gangs, and the hoodlums. This is a doable thing. This is achievable. President Trump is proving it in Washington, D.C. And here's one more point. There are 30,000, think about this, there are 30,000 criminally illegal aliens right now in custody in California that are in state and local custody that are going to be set free by Gavin Newsom that they are refusing to turn over to ICE. In other words, they're illegal aliens. They were arrested for committing state and local crimes. ICE said, turn them over to us so we can deport them. The California government has refused, so all 30,000 are going to be set free back onto the street to rape, maim, and murder.
But I'm sure nothing bad will happen. It's 11:21. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Let's talk about the Democratic frontrunner for mayor of Minneapolis, shall we? His name is Omar Fateh, and he held a big rally in Minneapolis. And I don't know if you can tell by the video, but there's a stunning lack of American flags and a stunning lack of English being spoken at this rally. Now, the reason Omar is the front runner is because the last mayor, Jacob Fry, wasn't woke enough.
As for cooperation with ICE, the answer is no.
This is a guy who actually cried at George Floyd's golden casket. Still not woke enough. Now, the uproar online led to some great questions from one Charlie Kirk. I want to know what you think about it in the comments. Charlie says, how are these people bettering America? Does it look like these people in Minneapolis are assimilating to American culture? And then we have to ask a very important question. What is an American?
New COVID vaccine guidelines having an immediate impact in some states, like with CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. We'll let you know about that. Let you hear what House Speaker Mike Johnson is saying about the mass walkout and firing of the director there. Also tell you about this new tax loophole if you order anything from overseas. Coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Oh, the teases from the Weaves. They're top-notch. I'm already thinking how CVS has been impacted. And part of what I'm thinking is maybe they removed the waiting area. You have to sit down when you get your COVID vaccine for like 20 minutes.
I'm not going to tell you right now, Brother Chris.
There's more room to move around because they removed the waiting area. Do you remember that? I remember when this is one of, I don't know, man. For me, and there were a lot of red flags, but one of the big ones was when they were like, hey, we got like a vaccination drive-through at Nissan Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
But what we're going to need you to do is park over here for 20 minutes in case you die, so that way we can jump in and assist you.
Yeah. Keep your mask on at least 20 feet from us, but when you get to us, take it off so we can talk to you.
Yep. And then when you get your vaccine, park over there.
Park over there and put your mask back on.
If anything bad happens, honk your horn. We'll be right over.
And don't eat for 3 days.
Yeah.
Sorry. All I can think of is somebody's head slumping against the horn.
Oh, my gosh. You know it happened.
Oh, for sure.
So I was coming around the corner. I almost took somebody out in the hallway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I almost tackled Des Dickerson.
Oh.
Des Dickerson filling in for Chad Benson today. I know a bunch of the audience is going to be excited to hear from him, see what he's been up to. So look forward to that, 12 to 3.
Yeah, and he's the clear thinker.
He's the clear
thinker party.
Yeah, no Kool-Aid. No Kool-Aid. And I think he was doing no Kool-Aid before RFK made it not cool. I don't even think it has to do with the food coloring. I think he's just anti Kool-Aid in general.
So when you almost tackled him, did he do a move and get away from you? Or?
No. So I move fast, boys.
Well, you're like a cat, brother.
Believe it or not, this old guy can move quick.
Yes, sir.
So when I'm hustling in between the commercial breaks, I got one speed and it's go. So I come bombing around the corner. And then I almost take out poor Dez, so I just had to do a little juke and a spin.
Yes, sir.
And, I avoided the hit stick, and I went to the restroom.
This is the reason I want a camera in that little hallway, so we can see the amount of hosts that dodge around.
If you're watching us on YouTube, I'll show you my juke moves during the commercial break.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yeah, exclusively on YouTube. I'm turning on Chris's camera just to see what he does.
I'm very quick. I'm very quick. We got a lot to get to on the show. Real quick though, let's wrap up Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller he goes scorched earth, and this is one of my favorite things about him. Stephen Miller, he is one of the future leaders of the conservative movement, of the America First movement. Blew my mind the other day. They posted a birthday celebration for him on his social media. He's only 40 years old.
What?
He's only 40.
That's wild.
Dude. And Democrats hate him. Get used to him.
Longevity right here.
With the modern advances in science, you're going to be dealing with Stephen Miller for 120, 200 years more. Just get ready. And he's going to be saying things like this.
President Trump just signed into law in the last reconciliation bill, the big, beautiful bill, the largest increase in law enforcement funding in American history. And some of that funding is what is allowing us to be so ruthlessly effective in dismantling criminal gangs here in Washington, D.C. Democrats in Democrat cities like Chicago have presided over a horrific carnival of violence, mayhem, and suffering for generations now.
Yep.
Where these cities do not belong to the citizens, they belong to the criminal gangs. And now you have these Democrat governors putting out a statement attacking the National Guard, attacking federal law enforcement, attacking President Trump, and not these criminal gangs. President Trump is literally liberating our citizens from this violence. Public safety and crime is going to be one of the biggest issues in the upcoming midterms.
He's right.
And the choice has never been more clear. The Democrat Party at every level exists to serve the illegal alien, the criminal, the terrorist, the gangbanger, and all of the organizations that shelter and coddle them.
The Democrat Party at every level exists to serve the illegal alien, the criminal, the terrorist, the gangbanger, and all of the organizations that shelter and coddle them. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. New COVID vaccine guidelines having an immediate impact in some states, like in Kentucky, where CVS will now require a prescription. Walgreens requiring a prescription in at least 16 states, and no publicly released list from Walmart detailing which states will require a prescription for the COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson weighing in on the mass walkout to protest the firing of CDC Director Susan Moneris.
Secretary Kennedy's doing a great job. There's been a shakeup that's been needed there, and I think we've got to trust the Secretary to do his job. They've had some great results there. We're getting America healthy again.
Trump administration already tapped a replacement for the CDC, Jim O'Neill, the man named as the interim director. He served in the Department of Health and Human Services under President George W. Bush, also worked for tech billionaire Peter Thiel. A tax loophole called the de minimis exemption that had been in place for decades for imported goods has now been closed by the Trump administration. We get more from ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
That could mean higher prices and longer delivery times on everything from clothes, makeup, electronics that we buy from overseas. Just think about all of those budget finds that we get on Amazon, Etsy, Shein, and Temu that could all be impacted. Now, key here is that you have UPS, DHL, and FedEx saying they'll keep delivering, but many postal services from Asia to Europe, they're pumping the brakes here, suspending their deliveries to the U.S.
So as of today, packages valued at less than $800 will be subject to fees of up to 50%, depending on the country of origin. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you do that to me? I'm trying to do a live read.
What are you talking about?
Okay, so off the air, me and Mason do the Dan Bongino, oh yeah, to each other all the time.
All the time.
He's like, you ready to do the Glock story? And I went, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then we go live, and I'm about to say it's Chris Hanford Glock story, and he drops that. And like, what am I? How do I follow that?
With an advertisement for the best gun store ever.
Facts. Hey, it's Chris Hand here. If you want your Glock to shoot flatter with less recoil, you need to talk to the Glock store. Seat cuts are your answer. What is a seat cut? I was like you just a couple weeks ago. They're short for compensator cuts. It's going to be a precision slot in your barrel and slide. It's going to put that push that blast upward in a V-shaped pattern, cutting muzzle flip and letting you get back on target fast. Now, they used to be only on the high-end Gen 3 compensated Glocks, but now the Glock store can do it to your Glock in 10 days or less. You don't have to take my word for it. You can try it yourself at the Glock store. Inside one of their premier shooting rooms, you buy a sample bullet pack for $6.99, and then you can shoot a C-cut Glock 17, Glock 19, or my favorite, the 43X. The C-cuts make a huge difference in all the models, but that 43X with the C-cut, chef's kiss. You're going to love it. Simply amazing. Bring your Glock or just the barrel and slide and start those 10 days today. The Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, always open online, glockstore.com. But a lot of these protesters are paid. There's a story, Crowds on Demand CEO, 400% increase. surge for requests for paid protesters.
Yep.
Protester requests have increased 400% since President Trump announced the federal takeover of D.C.'s police department.
No, none of this. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, where they've got all of these different protests, and it goes on. I swear it feels like it's every couple of weeks they've got another protest going on.
It is time to unite, not to fight each other the way they want us to do.
And they keep offering, looking for people to protest. And I don't think there's this groundswell of anger that they're trying to convince the American people that there is.
It's 11:38, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Hey, keep up with me all Labor Day weekend long on social media. You hit the follow button, I'll hit the follow button. I'm on True Social, Instagram, Twitter. What was the other one? TikTok. I do the Chinese one now. And YouTube. I'm on all of them.
You on Rumble yet?
I'm on the ones that are owned by the Chinese and the ones that are censoring us. A huge fan. Huge fan.
We're hitting them all.
At Chris Hand on air. Find me on your platform of choice and hit the follow button, hit subscribe, and I'll follow back and do all the things. I'll be pumping out a bunch of content this weekend.
I'm here for it.
I'm pumping it out.
Here for it.
That's what we're doing. Right now, though, what we're doing is a little thing we like to call the lightning round.
You hit the wrong dang one? It, I hit the wrong one.
I thought we were going to get back on track today. I thought we were going to get things back moving.
I'm sorry.
Yesterday we didn't have lightning.
You didn't have lightning yesterday?
We didn't have lightning.
Oh, wait, we already covered this.
All right.
It's the lightning round with Chris Hand.
Every day at this time we run through all the stories. That one fill a hole segment. Stories that we missed. Stories that you want to talk about again. Any hot takes, cold takes. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the lightning round. 615-737-9986. All right. I did not have this on my lightning round stack. I'll be honest with you. But it has dominated the dark places of my mind since I saw it. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you.
You told me, is it the one you told me about off the air?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited for this story.
It honestly, it has dominated my mind. I don't know how to put it any other way.
I think we just jump into it.
It's living in my head rent-free. Y'all know how I feel about birds. We got a new enemy.
Oh.
Rabbits.
All right, it's high tech versus high threat in the Florida Everglades.
Oh, researchers have developed robot rabbits. They're
Researchers developed that, or the CIA sold it to them? Inquiring minds want to know. All right, what are the rabbits doing again?
I think lifelike decoys that look, move, even smell like real marsh bunnies. It's an effort to lure out Burmese pythons. Pythons, they're not native, believe it or not, to Florida, but through escapes and people releasing overgrown pets, they've actually become established in the Everglades because of this. The massive snakes have wiped out, get this, 95% of small animals in the Everglades.
Jeez. All right, like if you're watching on the stream, it looks like they're putting this decoy rabbit in a box. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Are snakes that dumb? Inquiring minds.
I'm not sure, especially with on the stream, you could see there's a metal rod sticking through the center
Yeah.
of that rabbit.
and a stupid solar panel.
To charge.
So clearly the CIA didn't give them their best rabbits. These aren't the ones that they're using in the field. These are early prototypes.
Yeah. The first versions.
Here's how I would make this better. Okay? First of all, you eliminate the box.
Oh, for sure.
Secondly, you load that robot rabbit up with some C4. Yep, that's it. You want to solve that problem?
Yeah, I guess they didn't say what they were trying to do with the Burmese pythons. They didn't say relocation.
They're like catching and releasing and doing all that.
I didn't hear them say that.
I, for one, I'd explode them. That's what I would do. Suicide robot rabbits.
Have them hop off, get eaten.
That's what you need. Yeah.
It's so good.
Eat it and then learn the hard way.
You get one chance.
You're not welcome here.
Get out.
You have to go home. Okay. All right. Let's. So people are releasing their own pythons because they're like, I'm out. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
And they've eaten 95% of small animals in the Florida Everglades.
Releasing overgrown pets. They've actually become established in the Everglades because of this. The massive snakes have wiped out, get this, 95% of small animals in the Everglades. Now, thanks to the solar-powered heat signature bunnies, the hunt is on.
Again, you wouldn't have to hunt them if the rabbits were roaming around and also explosive. You know what I mean?
What if it had like a I don't know, a launching net from inside the bunny? I don't know.
So
just trying to think of other ways besides
I don't know,
mortars going off in people's backyards.
Okay. Well, you would have a mortar zone.
But snakes aren't always in mortar zones.
Okay.
You just said you were releasing them in their backyard.
Well, I'm sure that they're releasing them elsewhere. If you had a python, you're not going to drop it like on the other side of the porch.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want the neighbor's like chihuahua to get eaten. Well, actually,
depends on the chihuahua.
It depends on the chihuahua.
Depends on the chihuahua. Every time.
I'm a snake lover, and so it's a double-sided coin for me. We're having to remove all these snakes, but they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's how I feel. How would you feel about exploding them?
Do you like bombs?
I honestly could spend the entire night. We usually say that these stories couldn't fill up a whole segment. This could fill up a whole segment. This could fill up a whole segment. And it makes me suspicious of every bunny in my neighborhood now. I'm not lying. You know the meme, birds aren't real.
Yeah.
That started in a real place. And my kids went to D.C. to the Spy Museum, and they sent me pictures. And Dad, you're not crazy. And it was a robot bird at the Spy Museum with a camera.
Yeah.
So how long has the CIA been using spy bunnies?
I've been hearing about dragonflies recently.
Dude, have you seen those?
Yeah.
Like, they have, like, little mosquito drones.
It's kind of nuts.
Dude, it's not. Well, here's the nuts part to me. You ready for this? Just hit the X-Files music. Just do it. Just do it. I'm sorry. We're going into a long weekend. Here's the thing about mosquito drones. They're not showing us the advanced mosquito drones. They're showing us decades-old mosquito drones.
They're showing the version 1s. Maybe version 2.
Yeah, I don't believe it. Have you seen these, though? They're bananas. Hold on. I don't mean to get off the robot bunnies, but let's look at Chinese mosquito drones. Another story in the lightning round. It might as well hit the lightning, I guess.
Hold on, sorry.
I'm like going off on a
China
tangent.
is unveiling one of its tiniest military drones yet, a mosquito-sized aircraft apparently designed for battlefield surveillance.
Mosquito drones.
Researchers at China's National University of Defense Technology showed off the microdrone during a state television.
Wow, we're really off track. Was that you or was that Bilal?
May have had some fellow producer interference there.
So again, all right. So Chinese mosquito drones. Do you think they're showing off their finest work?
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I doubt it.
Dude, why would you show? Would you show off? If I had a mosquito drone, I'm not showing you.
I thought, Chris, I thought we were cool.
I wouldn't show either of you guys.
Okay, now that you're not including Ken,
I'd keep it on the low. I'd keep it on the low. I'm just telling you honestly. So how are we going to trust the Chinese government that this is the best that they have?
G showed off the microdrone during a state television broadcast. The tiny unmanned aircraft fits between 2 fingers. It flies using a pair of flapping leaf-shaped wings and can perch using 3 hair-thin landing legs. The claim is the drone's compact size allows it to stay hidden while gathering intelligence in urban or sensitive environments. The drone packs power systems, sensors, and control circuits into its tiny frame, pushing the limits of micro-robotic engineering.
Can't trust anything these days.
I definitely saw one of those on my fly trap the other day.
No, you didn't.
No, I'm just kidding.
I got excited. Bring it in.
Bro, if I saw a mini drone, I would tell you. That's the difference between you and me. Then again, I caught it, didn't make it myself, but
that's what flies are. Flies are little drones.
That's all they are.
I hate them so much.
Like everybody's been saying around Murfreesboro that it's been a bad mosquito season.
Uh-huh.
And have you felt the same way, Ken?
I haven't seen any. What's weird is I haven't seen any mosquitoes or flies, in abnormal numbers. But there are a lot of bunnies.
A lot of bunnies.
A lot of little bunnies running around.
You can't trust anything anymore.
No.
The birds, the bunnies, the mosquitoes.
Sometimes I wonder about little fat Fritz.
I would.
I look at him real close in his eyes. And I'm looking for like little lights coming on or something like that.
Yeah. he's got the red green lights that you see on planes.
Opening up the Bluetooth, seeing if he's putting off a signal. These things are real, though, mosquito drones.
China's new microdrone joins a growing global race to field micro UAVs. Norway's Black Hornet, widely used by Western militaries, offers a palm-sized platform. The latest Black Hornet 4 features enhanced battery life, improved wind resistance, and a longer range.
I mean, these things are nuts, right?
That's the 4th one, too. That definitely means that there's more.
100%.
If that's the 4th iteration, oh my goodness,
there's
no way.
100% like long-lasting battery-powered mosquito drones.
Easily.
Like, without a doubt. You can't tell me different.
Yeah, there's no way you can tell me that birds recharging on telephone wires is far-fetched now.
No.
That's right.
Birds are real.
You can't do it.
Mike texted in, and he said, this is an example of modern problems require modern solutions. He said, they build mosquito drones, we build bug zappers. Shout out to Mike.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Little mini EMPs.
Somebody said, could you fly that full speed into your enemy's jugular like a dart or something?
Oh.
Inquiring minds want to know. I mean, with Jesus Christ, anything's possible. What? It's just anything. All right, I got another story for you in the lightning round. This happened yesterday. It was midair. An F-35 is going down, okay? This plane is crashing, and they had an hour-long midair conference call while they know that this plane is going to be crashing, trying to figure things out.
Interesting.
It's wild, right? Pilot on an F-35 fighter jet was forced to eject from the aircraft after spending nearly an hour on a conference call in an effort to land the plane. You imagine how sweaty you are after that conference call?
Oh, absolutely.
That's got to be one of the worst conference calls you could ever be on.
It's the Jordan Peele meme where he's just drenched.
So how much does an F-35 cost? That's like millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions upon millions of dollars. So we got video. This is coming out of Alaska. And the video shows the plane going down and the pilot getting out, ejecting from it at a safe distance. It's just insane. Footage of the ordeal was posted on social media. $81 million. 81, not a few million. That's a bit more than a few.
Yeah, that's a bit shy of a...
After the pilot landed, he was transferred to the hospital for observation. No sign of obvious injury. The plane had an in-flight malfunction before the crash. Colonel Paul Townsend, commander of the 354th Fighter Wing, said, per the New York Post, our people are our most important resource, and we are committed in ensuring their safety and security. I can assure you the United States Air Force will conduct a thorough investigation and hopes to minimize the chances of such occurrences from happening again. It was reported that after the plane took off, there was ice in the hydraulic lines of the landing gear of the aircraft, which meant they couldn't be deployed properly. After taking off from the ground, the pilot was not able to retract the landing gear, but it was locked at an improper angle. So it started to go up and then got stuck, and that's not good. The pilot had to get on a call with 5 Lockheed Martin engineers.
Oh, wow.
While he was flying around the airbase. Call went on for 50 minutes. Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in? That's that bad. That's where my mind goes. 2 times the pilot tried a touch-and-go landing in an attempt to fix the gear, but the gear completely froze up in response. The jet became uncontrollable because of how the gear was positioned, forcing the pilot to eject from the aircraft. I mean, at the end of the day, at least the pilot is safe. But that is a crazy story. An hour
especially
on
after
a conference call.
Yeah, looking at the video too, is like the plane falls, you don't see the pilot for a good 5 seconds beforehand. It's like, wait, it looks a little sketch there.
Yeah, sketchy.
Cutting it close.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, hey, that does it for the lightning round today. It is 11:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I hope you and your family have a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Don't forget, we got a new episode of Mostly Peaceful with Dan and Chris premiering tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., exclusively on the YouTube channel. We'll be pumping out new content all weekend long. Hit like, hit subscribe, and make sure you're following me on all platforms at Chris Hand on Air. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This is massive. This is Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is nearly 4 decades of fighting in the region. Both leaders of each nation are coming here to the White House.
For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it, never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there? He tried for probably 12 minutes and didn't work out.
Have you seen this done with any other president, the way he's leveraging the economy and trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is 7 peace deals in 7 months, and it's unbelievable. I mean, President Trump is the only guy who can come together and do it. He can do it right.
11:57 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I just got the call. You know what call I got?
Oh, what call did you get?
My friend, I was talking about Joe Bob earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna be on Turning Point tonight on Real America's Voice. Tonight.
Let's go.
So is that how you should say that? I'm gonna be on Turning Point tonight.
I guess so, yeah, because it's the full title of the show, and we're going to be on Turning Point tonight next Thursday.
But it's going to be tonight.
Well, I know it's going to be tonight, but I'm saying if you're saying the full name.
But are you supposed to say tonight?
Maybe you can ask Joe Bob tonight.
I'll ask him
on the show.
I'm on
Turning Point tonight.
I'll say I'll be on Turning Point tonight this evening.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good one.
That's it. That's the move.
Change up.
I'm going to be on Turning Point this night.
This night. That airs
on
at
thus fortnight.
9 o'clock Central on Real America's Voice. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. Some stuff we didn't get to today, like the Trump administration pulling Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no, I did not. And whoa.
They're tired of picking her up when she's drunk and falling over. That's got to be it. I feel like this has less to do with Kamala Harris and more to do with looking out for the Secret Service agents.
Probably. They can't pick her up from Nancy Pelosi's house that many times.
So I have a friend that's a Secret Service agent. I'm going to send him a text. I'm going to say, how happy are you that you don't have to look out for Cammy anymore?
I've never heard anybody refer to her as Cammy.
That's the first time I've done it. You like it?
That's good.
I feel like we should roll with it. Side note, Polymarket right now, the online betting politics platform.
Yeah.
They actually have Trump at a higher chance of winning the presidency in 2028 than Cammy Harris.
Did we ever have any doubt?
No. Hey, if you get some free time this weekend, send Gavin Newsom a Trump 2028 hat. He loves getting them. He loves them.
He's a big fan.
Huge fan. We got a lot more Super Talk all day long. Don't forget, Des Dickerson in for Chad Benson on the way. I hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for listening to the show. From the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Monday with Best Of, and we'll be back at it live on Tuesday. And if anything gets a little bit hairy over the weekend, gets crazy, gets wild, as things tend to, you know that we'll always break in live. So when we do break in live, we go live on YouTube as well. If you hit the notification bell on your YouTube, you won't miss any breaking news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.